As we begin to ramp up again for yet another MCU movie about to hit the big screen, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I thought it would be an awesome idea to go back to another recent MCU film and dig deep into that, Thor: Ragnarok.
It seems our father's solution to every problem was to cover it up.
Or to cast it out.
Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis for Thor: Ragnarok. As you can tell by that clip, this is kind of what I think Thor: Ragnarok is about. The entire movie is about the danger in the facade. It is the danger in the bad foundation and what that really does and what that really creates. See, when you look at Odin in this movie, he has a history. In his history, he had a daughter, Hela, his firstborn, his flesh and blood. What does he do with his firstborn daughter? He trains her to be a weapon, and then he uses her. And so he uses her as a weapon to go and conquer worlds and drown civilizations in their own blood and tears. Now, somewhere along the line, we don't seem to get a lot of details on this, but somewhere along the lines, he had a change of heart. He didn't want to be that way anymore. He wanted to be a benevolent king and a good guy. So, in the name of being a good guy, he doesn't face the truth. He takes Hela, his daughter, who he formed to be a weapon, and he buries her deep in a cavern in hell somewhere, or just somewhere. He buries this woman deep down somewhere so that her hate and all that stuff that he planted in her life can grow and fester like a freaking infected wound, and so she's just thrown and cast out. Then what does he do, man? He goes through the palace, and where he had all those pictures of all those horrific things that he does, he paints nice pictures over the top. I mean, it's a metaphor in the movie where she tears down those ceiling paintings, and underneath is the true story of wickedness, the true story of the foundation of this kingdom. It's a metaphor for the covering up that Odin has done. There's a verse in the Bible that is really interesting, and it says this: we overcome the devil two ways. One, the blood of Jesus. In other words, our trust in his sacrifice on our behalf. Two, the word of our testimony. In other words, I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Do you see the truth in that? I was there, but now I'm here. Things have changed. And that's the truth. And when we take our stand on that and walk in the truth, it's amazing how the truth sets us free. So rather than standing on the truth, he stands on a lie. Instead of going back and shoring up the foundation and making changes at the foundation, he covered the weak foundation in gold so that it would look nice. So it's the facade over top of it, and that facade has huge consequences. Like Odin never coming clean about the truth until right before he dies, and then all hell breaks loose, quite literally, because nobody was prepared for this, because he buried the truth underneath. Thor and Loki could have been prepared for Hela in the event of Odin's death, except in Odin's shame, he buried everything. And so because of that, because of the weak foundation, when the storm came, the foundation could not hold. It could not hold all that was built upon it. And they built an extravagant life on top of this weak and faltering foundation. When you go through and look at this movie, there's another interesting picture in here, and that's Facade, which is basically this land of the lost. So when you dig deep into this land of the lost, you have a bunch of characters that are on this planet, that are in this place because they're lost souls. Here's the interesting thing about this picture. It's a planet surrounded by doors. In other words, everywhere you look, there's a way of escape. There's a way to get off this world that is just confusing. Time and physics and all that stuff works differently here. The only thing dependable about Facade is the fact that it's confusing. I mean, that's just how weird this place is. But there's a way out everywhere you turn, yet the souls that are there are so lost that they don't want the way out. They don't want to take the way out. Valkyrie is there in a self-exilement. Is that a real word? Well, she's self-exiled to this place, and she doesn't want the way out. She was disillusioned by the weak foundation between Odin and Hela took everything from her, so in her disillusionment, she's come to Facade to numb herself and drink herself to death. That has become her destiny because of a weak foundation and because of a lie. And then you have Loki, who is in this world not looking for a way out because he wants to conquer it, because that's how he thinks he's going to get love, approval, and acceptance. In fact, the facade with Loki is he spent years on Asgard looking like Odin. That was the facade on top. Underneath was this ugly little worm. And because it was just the worm underneath and not Odin, no power was holding back Hela. And so now this storm, this Ragnarok was released, which is another thing. Ragnarok looked like the end of the world. But what was Ragnarok? Ragnarok is a consequence. A door was open for destruction because of a faulty foundation, and now Ragnarok is almost, in a sense, the purification of that whole world system, so that that stuff can be torn down and something new can be built on top. And it's all because of this door that they kicked open. What's really interesting is Thor in this movie. Through all of this confusion, through all of these weak foundations, Thor is like this pillar standing and weathering all of it. He may not be happy about it, and he's definitely going through an incredibly tough time throughout this movie and in Infinity War, but he is this pillar that, unlike everybody else in this film, he's not wavering. He's able to stand during the storm because he has a firm foundation. He didn't. He was lost. We saw that in the first Thor movie. He was lost in his own pride, and he was humbled. He was lost, but now he's found. He didn't shove that truth under a basket somewhere or under a rock. No, he faced that truth. He's walking in the truth, and the truth has set him free. Now you get into Thor, the Dark World, and because he's standing in the truth and he's standing on a firm foundation, he can see clearly, and he finds his calling to be a protector, to protect the Nine Realms, to bring order back to them. He loves Jane. He wants to be with her. He's not ready to sit on the throne yet because he's found his calling in being out in the worlds and being this protector. Then you get to Thor Ragnarok, right? And he watches his father die. He watches his hammer get destroyed in front of him. He gets cast off into this land of the lost where it feels like there is no escape because there is just this veil of confusion over every single bit of this planet, and he's just trapped in that veil. But while he's there, he is standing firm on the truth. He was lost, but now he's found. Because he has a firm foundation, because he has faced the truth in his life and shored up his foundations, he's able to weather this massive storm that hurts.
I choose to run toward my problems and not away from them. That's what... Because that's what heroes do.
And because he's able to weather this storm, he's able to see some things clearly. At first, he thought the hammer is the source of his power. But that wasn't the truth. The hammer was a focusing point of his power. He carried the power and the depths of his soul this entire time. And now he gets to learn how to tap into that in a way that he's never been able to tap into that before. Because he has a firm foundation, he can see this truth and he can walk in this truth. When he sees that Surtur isn't the end of the world that he thought, he now realizes, oh, so Hela is this festering wound that is going to infect the universe. She's only going to grow and get more and more powerful as long as this land exists. So Asgard is not a land. Asgard is a people. So we need to save the people, and we need to destroy this infection and destroy it at its root. So they let the cleansing fire come, and the cleansing fire destroy this root so that Hela loses her power, so that infection will not infect the universe. So no matter what storm was coming his way, he was able to see these truths clearly because he had a firm foundation to stand on. Jesus talked about this. He said the foolish man builds his house on the sand. In other words, that facade, that fake foundation. We could build lovely beach houses on the sand, but when the rain comes and the storm comes, that lovely and beautiful home will collapse because there is no real foundation there. Jesus is the rock. And when we build our life on the rock, and the rock is our foundation, no matter what storms come, no matter what things try to come and confuse us, we have a firm and solid foundation that we're standing on so that we can weather the storm. When I look at Thor Ragnarok, that is the picture I see. Thor is the picture of one standing on the rock, standing on Christ, with their life firmly rooted on the foundation of Christ. So no matter what storms were coming his way, no matter how much that storm sucked,
That's what...
he was a pillar able to weather it because of that firm foundation. Thor standing on the truth impacted those around him. Valkyrie saw how he was standing And because of his stance and because of who Thor was, she was inspired. She no longer wanted to die by the drink or live in this land of confusion, this land of the lost. She followed Thor through the door to get out and face the very demon that drove her to that place of feeling very lost. Loki came back to save his people. Rather than trying to stay and rule Sakaar, which was his plan, he left that plan and went and stood by his brother and was willing to give his life because he realized what his brother said was true. His brother always loved him. His brother always admired him. And he could be so much more than the god of mischief. And suddenly when he realized he had that approval all along, when he had that love all along, it broke through that faulty foundation and gave him a real foundation to stand on. You have a real foundation to stand on. I think that's what the picture there is. Be like Thor, not like Odin. Odin tried to stuff his problems like under his bed and hide them and ignore them and pretend they weren't there. Thor decided he was going to be a hero and he wasn't going to run from his problems. He was going to run towards them. And that's what built a better foundation. When we have Jesus in our lives, we don't have to be afraid of our past. We don't have to be afraid of our mistakes because we can face those things with him and he wins every time. He's not looking to judge us or condemn us. He's looking to forgive us and he's looking to lift us up. He says if we bring him our problems and confess and we're like, dude, I messed up, he will not only forgive us, but he will cleanse us of all of that. In other words, he will make us clean and he will give us that brand new awesome foundation. So what did you think of Thor Ragnarok? When you dig deep into this movie, what is it a picture of to you? Be sure to let me know in the comments. While you're there, let me know how excited you are for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Are you excited to see this movie? Are you excited to see how it fits with everything that happened in Infinity War? I'm beyond excited for this movie. And hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the next time I drop a theological analysis, movie review, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.